Senator Pete Ricketts has introduced two bills that would eliminate federal taxes on Social Security and military retirement benefits. Senator Ricketts joins us right now. And Senator, good morning. This, I would assume, is a pretty popular bill. The idea of not taxing military who are being paid retirement benefits or people who have paid into Social Security. What I wonder is, how much does this cost?
Well, it is a very popular bill. We did it in Nebraska when I was governor. We phased out the taxes on both Social Security and military retirement benefits. And so I've introduced both these into the U.S. Congress with my Social Security Check Tax Cut Act and my Tax Cuts for Veterans Act. We are looking to get a score from CBO right now, and that's part of the process. But with the way we did this in Nebraska both times is we phased it in over time. So, for example, with my Social Security Check Tax Cut Act, it starts by cutting the taxes 10% and then going to 20%, so that you can really manage it within the budget. And this is a perfect time to be able to introduce it, A, because President Trump is obviously in favor of this, and B, because we're going to be going through the reconciliation process and working on the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. So this can be a part of an overall package of how we reduce taxes on the American people.
Senator, I understand this, and I, again, understand why this would be so popular. But I look at it and think, what's the price tag and what do you cut elsewhere? Or do you expand the deficit by even more? It was $1.8 trillion last year. We're looking at $2 trillion this year. Do you expand the deficit to do this, or do you find other areas to cut?
Well, as part of the overall Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, making that as part of the reconciliation process, and obviously as Senate Republicans, we want to make that permanent. We're going to be going through a whole process of making sure that this all works within the budget. This is just the way we did it in Nebraska. Like I said, we phased in over time.
How much was the tax in the state versus the tax in the federal level for this, though? My guess is it's a much bigger purse that you're talking about. How much is spent last year? Or how much was brought in how much was brought in last year by these taxes for the federal government?
So, off the top of my head, I can't tell you how much what was brought in by Social Security taxes. And again, one of the things we're going to wait right now for is to get the score from CBO. So I don't also want to just make a guess based upon our estimates, because you have to use the official scores anyway. So, but as part of the process, though, again, we're going to be going through as Senate Republicans and working to make all this fit. I've been having conversations with Mike Crapo and the Finance Committee about how he's going to approach this and where he thinks we'll have the opportunities to find some savings. So this is a part of a process we'll be doing for the balance of this year to be able to get this all put together.
Senator, we just had one of your colleagues on, Senator Coons, and I really kind of gave it to him on the whole Signal Gate. It's a fiasco. No one was hurt. Thank God it was a successful mission. But I know the president, even though he didn't say it, I'm told that he was furious about what looks like an unforced error. And for a while, I thought there was no way that Atlantic journalist was on there unless it was deliberate by someone that was trying to make the Trump administration look bad. Now it looks like that's not the case. So on top of using a pretty unsecure system to talk about whatever you want to call them, attack plans or war plans, it looks like Mike Waltz actually included that journalist inadvertently on that chat. So the height of incompetence there is one thing. And if we had lost some soldiers, it would have been another thing. I mean, do you have confidence in Hegseth and Waltz at this point, Senator?
Well, there's no doubt that this was terrible, and we need to have a thorough review of what exactly happened here. What somebody needs to do is just step up and take ownership for what happened here, admit they made a mistake, and then say, hey, look, we're going to put things in place to be able to make sure that this doesn't happen again. We're going to have better process, better technology. We talked about the Signal app. Like, we're the United States government. Don't we have a secure app that people can put on their phones? I mean, this is the kind of thing where we, as a federal government, need to keep up with what's going on technology. And the fact of the matter is, we're using our phones to be able to travel around. We do have secure rooms where we can do these briefs. But if you've got a number of different executives that you've got in the administration traveling around, cabinet secretaries, you're not all going to be able to get together in a secure room to be able to have these conversations. Right. So we got to be able to figure this out. And there's got to be a better process. Like, I obviously don't know what happened, and we need to get a review, but, somebody should be putting these lists together and vetting them before we actually have our cabinet members getting on them.
And it's deadly serious, and it just seemed a little, I don't know, not across the board with some, sometimes the tariffs seem like they're on and they're off, but this seemed like it was, the emojis, it just seemed flippant almost, and something where lives are involved, and I mean, of all the agencies, you would think the Defense Department would just be stone cold, disciplined, serious, and everything else. Do you think we have that right now?
Well, certainly, again, we've got to have a review of what happened here. I think this is going to be something where everybody is taking a lesson from this. Somebody needs to zone up and say, hey, we made a mistake. We're going to do better going forward.
Senator Ricketts, let me ask you about the tariffs themselves and what you're anticipating and expecting next week. Obviously, you have a huge background in business, too. And business leaders are pretty concerned, not knowing what this is going to mean, how they're going to make up for it. If this is something where, do they raise prices for consumers? Do they have their margins get eaten into by these tariffs that are going to be pretty significant? And if you listen to the president, they're going to be permanent. What are your thoughts?
Certainly, the president said in his address, the joint address to Congress, that there's going to be some disruption here. I mean, he certainly said this was going to happen. And what he's trying to do is really level the playing field for American companies. I mean, we know that the average weighted tariff of products coming into the United States is 1.5%. The average weighted tariff of our products going overseas is 6%, 4 times. So the rest of the world charges us 4 times what we charge them coming into our country. And this is what the president's trying to address. So I think ultimately there's going to be, a period of disruption here. I expect that this will eventually, over a period of time, settle down where the president wants it to be, which is reciprocal tariffs, which is if you're charging us X% tariff on our products going to your country, that's what we're going to charge on your products coming into ours. And it's really hard to argue with reciprocal tariffs, right? That sounds fair. I mean, we got to remember, we set this system up back in 1944 as part of our effort to defeat the Soviet Union, right? We wanted to basically get all these countries on our side by giving them a market, access to our market, and allowing their economies to develop. And that was a great strategy. It worked really well, except the Soviet Union fell like 34 years ago. So the system that's been in place that our allies have gotten used to, it's time to change because it has been the sacrifice of the American people to make this work, and now it's time to level the playing field.